Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Club Lorcana podcast, the only podcast where Zan and Jeremy talk about Lorcana. I'm one of your hosts, Jeremy Bertrioni, and with me, as always, is
Syed.
Hey, Zan Syed. How's it going?
It's going pretty good. I'm just, sipping on some Capri Sun.
Okay, great. So we have a lot to talk about. We've been gone for a little while. The metagame sort of was stayed still. We were busy. There was a lot to figure out, and we just want to make sure that whenever we do upload a podcast to you guys, it's the best, most informative podcast for people who want to do well in more kind of tournaments and know what's going on. With that being said, why don't we get started with a metagame report? I always like to do a metagame report in the first couple minutes of the podcast, and then we can get to goofing off. That way anybody can just get on, get their snapshot of the meta, and know what's going on. So talk to me a little bit about the metagame right now, Zan.
Well, it was just green, steel, and blue, red, but red, purple has entered back into the equation. Since blue, red was the most popular deck, more popular than green, steel, I think it created a perfect opportunity for red, purple to capitalize against blue, red if they were able to dodge the green steel matchup, or the green steel matchup as in when they have the nuts. Right. And so basically now it's a 3-deck format with blue steel, just tagging along. Fourth wheel,
3-deck format. We do have some tournament bullet points to sort of talk about in terms of why we're saying that. The most popular one was the event in Bochum, maybe a week and a half or 2 weeks ago. Bochum was, of course, won by Amethyst Ruby, and what did great on the day, we had about 10 green steel decks, we had 9 Amethyst Ruby decks, 3 red blue decks, 5 sapphire steel decks, and then a couple of Amber Steel Songs, a couple of Amethyst Emerald Tempo, and 1 Amethyst Steel decks that comprised the top 64 in Bochum. Is that anything surprising to you?
No, not at all.
I'm a little surprised about how Amethyst Emerald did that. I really want to know who was playing that because what? I didn't know you could win with those.
I mean, any deck can make it, right? You don't have to play against the entire tournament to make it to that point. You are just playing your matches, and that can be you can just get the perfect matchups, right? You could just play blue red every single round and get to that situation. So you don't even have to do it every single round. You just have to do it 5 times in a row, or 5 times out of 9.
True enough. So that is the meta reports. I think that. Why do you think that Ruby Amethyst Control has sort of seen this resurgence? Because it fell for a while. It had a really rough green steel matchup, and then it got a little better. What do you think happened?
So I said this earlier. Blue red, most popular deck. So it preys on blue red, and then it also preys on blue steel. So those combined together are going to be a lot more of the metagame than green steel and yellow steel.
Okay, and then that sort of gave rise to a spot. Do you think, a lot of people are saying the Ruby Amethyst matchup got better against green steel? What is our response to this?
I mean, the way that they play it has gotten better, and I would give that credit to probably Kendall Burdett with his guide. But also, I think that the average Amethyst Ruby player is better than the average green steel player.
Interesting. So a little bit of the Merfolk problem with green steel. I have noticed a lot of the green steel opponents around in the area of Atlanta are missing bizarre triggers and things like that. So there is something too, green steel just doesn't make you play it as hard. So is there anything else you want to say about the state of the meta? Because there's one huge headline that we're going to get to right after this.
I mean, the state of the meta is pretty expected. I don't feel like I was caught off guard at all,
Yeah, great. Okay, so the big headline is we recently got the news of a huge errata. They are taking the card Bucky and basically hitting that squirrel with a hammer. It is now a 3-mana 1/1 with no ward that says whenever you use shift to play a Floodborn unit, they discard a card. Talk to me. I mean, that card is banished beyond all hope, right?
Yeah, it's unplayable. But at the same time, I think it was the perfect pick. And the perfect way to do it. I know people are like, why not just ban this card? And I think that it sets a bad precedent. And also, I think that them exploring different ways to do this and seeing what the result of it is really cool. And we got a really great result from this one, which was, the Bucky card went up in value. So I think that usually when they ban a card, Bucky promos or Bucky foils and Buckies in general just go to zero. And this time, Bucky promos went from $3 to $15. That's amazing. So they saved people's wallets. They didn't destroy them, and at the same time, they basically banned the card. Nobody's going to play this card. So perfect. Like,
one thing that always strikes me is with Magic the Gathering cards, Splinter Twin. Nobody is in love with Splinter Twin, the card, right? And with Disney, you have characters on there that matter a lot to a lot of people. So if you ban Bucky, then there's some kid that doesn't get to play with their favorite part of the Emperor's New Groove, right? We're potentially ruining a casual deck that involved shifting Yzmas, like things that are outside of the tournament. So I think that Ravensburger took a lot of care with the Disney character here. Like an errata is a lot softer than a ban for preserving that aspect of it. And I hadn't seen anybody talking about it. Obviously, I don't want anyone to say like, "Oh, they already said what the deal was and it wasn't that." I do want to acknowledge that we know that they said that this has a lot to do with the foreign language printings of Bucky coming up. Um, to me, that just rang a little bit like they just felt like they needed to write something there. I mean, I'm pretty sure there's always going to be a foreign language printing of a card coming up. So I think mostly they were just trying to try stuff. They were being a little more reverent with Disney characters than you can afford to be with like Yu-Gi-Oh or Magic cards. Basically, like if they banned Grief, there's nobody with Grief T-shirts and a Grief, bed frame who got married with a Grief mascot, at their wedding, right? And that might not be true if they ban like a Mickey Mouse or something like that. So I think this is a good halfway. I'm actually pretty happy with the errata.
yeah, I do want to say something. So I think in card games, especially, I think it's really important that we don't go along with how how we feel. What we want to do in this situation, I think, is we want to, like, Green Steel definitely needs some type of nerfing, right?
Mhm.
And we want to achieve a specific result. And if that result is, how do we make it so that people don't lose a whole bunch of money and we don't continue to have this horrible metagame? How do we do
Right.
those two things? And whichever way gets us to that point, we should be happy with it. And I don't think that like it's obvious that every single scenario, like every single thing, every single decision that they could take would get us there. And I think that they actually made some hard decisions, whether they did it on purpose or on accident.
Sure.
They achieved it.
Yeah.
And that makes me so impressed that I can't do anything but take my hat off. Is it the same way I would have done it? No. But do I think that I could have achieved the same result? I don't know. I don't think anybody can say that with like certainty.
Yeah, I'm not sure I could have functionally banned the card while also increasing the value of the card. I really just don't know
That's like the hardest thing in the world to do.
if I would have thought to do that. And I do want to say that deck was oppressive. One of the reasons we haven't uploaded in a little while is because we like to generally be constructive and positive in the podcast. We don't have to be positive. If there's something that we hate and we feel like we need to talk about, we're very comfortable talking about it. But for the past few weeks, Lorcana was like, I hate the game. Honestly, it just sucks. It sucks that they have a squirrel that just stands there and it makes you make really hard decisions on every turn, even your opponent's turn, and it makes you have like a contorted game plan no matter who you are playing against it. Your game plan when they have a Bucky is radically different. and can lead to some non-games. You know, the turn 2 Bucky evolve my Diablo attack, or even turn it sideways to sing a song that hurts one of your guys, is a free win a lot of the times, and that's like not something we want from the top deck of our, from the top deck in our card game. So I totally believe that a ban was necessary and that something was wrong with the deck. I mean, the deck was really ruining the game for me.
It wasn't ruining the game for me. Like, I think that the metagame was totally messed up, but I had just signed up to just play the deck until it got banned. I mean, I definitely made it a point every time I was doing well with it. If I was on camera, like for the 10K with 20 lore, I was like, please ban this deck. I'm only doing this because, like, I'm always going to try to find the deck that's the best and that's going to allow me to win. And whatever that answer is, I'm going to resign myself to it. Mm-hmm. My dedication is to find the best deck, whether it's something unique and something outside the box that I can think of, but sometimes it's not, and you have to accept defeat to the format god and play it. So that's what I did.
Well, great. I wanted to talk about something we mentioned a little earlier in the podcast. You said that people were playing Red Purple a little different because of the Kindle Burdett document. You want to tell everybody, if they don't know, like, what that is and maybe even what you think about it?
Yeah. I mean, Kendall Burdett, Red Purple Master, he's been on this podcast. And he's selling a $5 guide that you can find on his Twitter. No, I'm not. So he wrote a guide, and I feel like it really started when I lost to him in a tournament not too long ago. I think like 2 weeks ago. And basically, my hand, I had kept kind of like the perfect hand with Bucky, Diablo, and both the Diablos. And I was playing 12 uninkables, and I ended up hitting 5 uninkables, in which I had to ink my own Bucky. And so it was like a weird situation because I needed to find an action card so I could make my Diablo work. And it was definitely correct to mulligan the 4 cards. And I just got max punished. And that ended up costing me the game. I felt like I was still going to win that game, but Kendall ended up going... draw 2. He ended up having like triple brawl and 4 friends on the other side, and was just able to friends every single turn. And I was struggling to make my ink, and so I ended up losing. And that kind of ended up being the strategy moving forward, where he went down to 4 1-drops. And it was the whole plan is just playing all your, like, everything needs to cantrip, and basically do you discard all the garbage until you get to 7 ink, and then Be Prepared turns on and is able to wipe the board once, and then you're both just playing off the top of your library, and they end up winning that battle oftentimes. And so I think that is the only strategy that they have, and I think it is functionally only works when they don't have turn 2 Bucky with Diablo,
or even turn 2 Bucky, turn 3 Bucky. A lot of the times that can be enough to disrupt the strategy. I've been playing a lot of Ruby Amethyst, basically very close to Kindle's list. What do you think about pros doing a $5 deck guide, right? I mean, how did that hit you? I want to know because, like, for example, is it like ethical for him to have done that? Do you think that it was the right price? Do you think that, I mean, how do you feel about that? Like, for me, I like it. I think we should be paying, the pros generally. So what do you think?
I mean, I think that it is a pro, I'm pro guides. I think $5 is completely reasonable for someone who put in, at least 1,000 hours, if not more, gaining this knowledge, and him handing it out for $5. So people who don't have the time to put in can have a way to catch up. Honestly, it's a bargain. $5 is um, a complete steal. I personally am not doing that for a couple of reasons.
Sure.
I did put out a guide for Amber Steel right after I won the 8K, so that's been a long time. That was beginning of set 3. But why I didn't put out a guide for second of all, it takes a lot of time to do it, and I think that guides, if not done correctly, can be like bad for the progress of the game. And so I think that there's a lot of things, like for example in coaching, Kendall does coaching and I do coaching as well. And in my coaching sessions, I'm like giving a lot of like, it's not black and white. And I'm trying to explain why it's not black and white the entire time. And I think that players start to think things are black and white when they read a guide and they just follow the guide. And it ends up making generations of players way worse. And it's something that you can look back at Magic and learn from Magic. People always are like, hey, go read this article. And they're all stuck in this mindset of like, this article that was written 10 years ago is it's the holy grail. And they just keep learning from those things only and not their experiences. And it ends up making them a lot worse. And I feel like I took a lot of those articles with a grain of salt and honestly used it to my advantage against players because they would form bad habits. Like a famous Magic one is you can only cast Brainstorm. You should always cast Brainstorm only on your own turn. And that is, it's complicated, but the answer is not 100-0. That's all I can say about that. And so
I'll say in Magic, I always feel really lucky when I get to cast the Brainstorm in my first main phase and then shuffle it away. I'm always like, oh, that was great that I got to do that, because a lot of the times for a lot of reasons I don't get to. So that's how I feel about it on a Brainstorm. I will kind of agree with you on that. One thing that has happened that I've noticed is, and I think I'm pretty comfortable saying this, even though I do lose a little bit saying it on this podcast. Because of Kindle's guide, everyone thinks they know the exact 60 cards I'm playing, which has made a certain card that I'm playing a lot better. I mean, like a game-breakingly better card, because they think that I'm incapable of attacking on turn 3 with no board on turn 2, but I'm playing the Peter Pan Rush Evasive, and that has eaten so many Flynn Riders or Chernobog's Followers or whatever, because if I don't have anything on turn 2, they're like, oh, you can't do anything, and they just quest. And then my 3-mana haste guy gets to come in and eat. But it's just totally a case of like, they don't even think about it because they think they know my list so well. When really, I bet if you like ask them, it'd be way more important not to open up to something like that, and they could probably win another way. In a lot of cases, that Flynn Rider was threatening to gain 3 lore if they didn't quest with it. So that has been really an edge that I keep thinking like, I think you guys are a little bit like Kindle Guide brained. Another one is I won a green steel match recently where I went Flynn into Sisu into Castle, and that's just because that's what my hand did, and I realized that I wasn't able to just sit back and draw cards, which is what obviously they wanted. If you read Kindle's guide, he says against green steel, you want to just sit back and draw cards so that you can be prepared. And then after you be prepared, you should have the 1-to-1 removal of Lady Tremaines, Madame Medusas, and things like that to close out the game. So his whole game plan against green steel involves getting card advantage if you can. Like Brawl is the most important card to mulligan to, so that you can take out the Diablos, so that you can draw cards, so that you can wrath. And I played a different game, and I got the steel player on the back foot. It's possible they even mulliganed with the idea that I would be playing that passive game in mind. You know what I mean? Like, this was game 2, so it's possible that in their opening hand, they're like, well, I don't need anything early because my opponent's not putting pressure on me. They're just going to play control. And it's definitely not how the game played out.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. But again, the thing I do want to say is like, I read all of those articles in Magic, and I read Kendall's guide. What what I want to say about it is you still should read the guide.
Yeah.
So knowledge is just important, and the thing that I said earlier was grain of salt. And so you read it, you bring it in, and you use those strategies. But if your hand doesn't allow, like Jeremy said, you play what your hand tells you you're supposed to do. You know, like what your choices are. So, yep.
The next thing I have down I want to talk about is the store championships currently ongoing for Ursula's return. Ursula is back. Okay, she has returned. Is there any specific tips or tricks for the store championships this time? Obviously, your recommendation is somebody should play probably Green Steel. I also recommend play Green Steel.
I mean, I feel like we should touch on the fact that I won the first one.
Hey, congratulations! And I've played in 2, and I'm not even top 8 in 1, so I'm crushed.
I did not top 8 the second one, but I did top 8 the first one, and I played Green Steel. A little bit different of a list. I'm playing Prince John, 4 of the Prince Johns. Yeah, it was just another perfect tournament. I did not drop a match. It was 5 rounds. I went 3-0, double drew into top 8, and then proceeded to just dominate top 8.
Better than that, what do you attribute to that success?
I mean, Bucky Diablo. I had solid play. I beat the Mirror. I beat Amber Steel. I beat Red Yellow in the finals. I beat Red Purple. I beat it all.
Beat all the decks in the metagame.
Mm-hmm.
Are you happy with store championships? How's it going? Let's take your temperature. Do you think it's a good format of tournaments? Do you think the pricing is correct? What do you think?
It's kind of sad to see that Ursula was so much less than the Stitch, but I'm down for the variables and pricing. I did sell my Ursula playmat for $225. I think that's
a lot of Stitch's value is tied up in, first of all, it's a playable card, and Ursula is very close, but not quite there on most tournament playability. I also want to say that
I would say they're equally playable.
That's fair. I've seen Stitch a lot more.
It's been around longer.
I also want to say, the first one is going to have a little bit of a premium on it. I also think, and I think this matters a lot for the Disney crowd, which is where we're getting a lot of the monetary value of them. I think that Stitch kind of has that it factor, the same way Mickey Mouse does. I think he's a little cute thing, Gengar, Pikachu, Stitch, Mickey Mouse. They all kind of have the little, Baby Yoda, right?
Yep. They got the it factor.
I think Stitch is just right in that spot, and a Disney collector is going to care about that. I mean, frankly, I think a Disney collector is going to care about that in a way that they're not really necessarily going to do it for a villain, who's like half squid and purple and is just not, Ursula's not cute like that. And I think cute is cash. I always say that. I always say cute is cash.
Cute is cash, I guess.
Remember the other time in my life that I said that?
Yeah, I remember every time.
Okay, great. Good, even. So I think that contributes to the pricing. I am doing my best to make it to most of these, but haven't really gotten all of them. For me, they're all sort of an on-ramp to Dallas, next big set championship. I love the set championships.
No, you mean the challenge?
Set challenge. I love the challenge.
It's not even a set challenge. It's just that Disney Lorcana challenge.
Disney DLCs, Disney Lorcana challenge, downloadable challenge.
It's content.
And so we are going to Dallas. We rented out a big Airbnb, isn't that right? With some of the guys from Atlanta.
Yeah.
What are you looking forward to most about Dallas?
I mean, the team drafts.
Oh, yeah? You wanted to... I've been saving packs.
Yeah. So we've been saving packs of Lorcana, and I have 3 boxes of packs, and basically, yeah, we want to team draft. What is team draft,
Mm-hmm.
Jeremy?
Okay, so yeah, I was going to make this compelling with you. If you are playing Lorcana and this is your first card game and you're doing well, you're going to go to your store, you're going to win the locals, and you're going to get a bunch of booster packs. Your first instinct is going to be to crack those bad boys open. You might have it enchanted, but wait. Average value of a pack is probably not going to be worth the cards inside of it. So what can you do to get the most out of your packs? There's a lot of things you can do in Magic the Gathering, but Lorcana is pretty new, so let's talk about it. We have a team draft. In a team draft, you typically have 2 other players, but you could ideally have 3 other players on a team with you, forming a team of 4, and you go against another team of 4 and sit down. Every other player is on your team, and you guys draft, and you play the draft, and the team that has the best record at the end of the full draft that you play is going to get all the cards. So you can double up your cards. That would be a team draft for the cards. You can also put something called pride points, which are dollar bills, on the line for a team draft. That was always one of my favorite things to do in Magic, was a $20 team draft, sort of the night of GP or something like that. And we're looking to bring it to Lorcana. We think that a good use of your packs could be save them, bring them to a challenge like this, and see who else wants to play in a team draft.
Yeah, so one of the things that we like to do in team drafts is winners get to keep all the cards.
Yep.
So, yeah, I mean, you have an opportunity to double your packs, and people are playing for, stakes. And I think that limited is a great way to improve your constructed play, figuring out cards that people haven't thought of to play. Rather than just looking at them, you get to play with those cards. And so if you're looking to improve at the fundamentals or at deck building, that's a great place to start. Drafting.
Definitely. So that is something we're looking forward to for Dallas. I'm also, of course, looking forward to just the hangs generally. A dinner with everybody is going to be great. Obviously, we hang out a lot with Kindle Burdett. We also have a group of guys in Atlanta that have been doing pretty good.
There is one other thing I wanted to bring up.
Yep.
I wanted to bring up the Golden auction that is live for my Mickey Mouse, which ended up getting a PSA 10.
Yeah.
Not only just, it's a gem 10. So perfect, virtually perfect Mickey Mouse. It's on auction right now it's going to be up for 9 more days.
Mm-hmm.
It's currently sitting at $7,500, which is a complete steal. Because I got offers up to $40,000. So if you're able to secure this for $7,500, that would be a steal. So you should go to Golden and go bid on that Mickey Mouse, and you may make a lot of money.
Talk to me about what that process was like. Just sort of tell the audience, because we got a few minutes, tell the audience the story of putting your card up for Golden. And are you going to be on TV?
I'm not going to be on TV, but I did fly to New Jersey, where I went to Golden Auctions. They have an office there. Basically met with this guy named Frank Denote, who was extremely nice, extremely helpful. And basically, they got my card graded from PSA, and then it entered into the auction 9 days ago. And so they have access. I mean, they have the card in their facility. And they have a show on Netflix. I think it's called King of Golden, something.
Maybe King of Collectibles or something?
Yeah.
I did want to check in on Matthew Wright, who is auctioning off his Mickey as well. And
he has a
live check-in right now, because I know that one's coming pretty soon. It's going to be over, right?
Yeah, his is over, I think, in 2 days. Yeah, and his is, he got a Beckett 10. Mm-hmm. And his is sitting at 20,000.
That's right.
And so basically the last 3 days of the auction are the most action bidding moments. And so I think that in the next 2 days, we're going to see what the final number is. So it's at least at 20,000. I'm excited to see what the final number is, though.
I'm praying that it hits 50. Other things on this lot are really funny and interesting, right? The same lot that has Matthew Wright's like Golden Mickey also has the worn bat suit from the screen production of Batman and Robin. This is the infamous nipple bat suit.
Wow.
So if you have an extra $40,000, you can bid on Matthew Wright's card, and then you can go over and bid on the screen-worn Batman suit and a signed Kanye West CD.
Cool.
And a signed picture of Mao Zedong.
Wow.
Chairman Mao, you know, he assassinated all those landlords.
This is wild.
This is wild. So yeah, you guys can go check out that auction. Really exciting. Check out Zan's. Zan, what's your like wildest dreams and what's your realistic expectation? Talk to me about what everyone wants to know is how much is the Mickey worth?
I mean, well, we're gonna find out. What else did I want to? Oh, Nationals. I'm excited about Nationals, and I want to go to Disney World. That's like my whole thing with this game is I want to play like in the freaking castle. That would be. Yeah. I mean, that's the dream.
So I was actually talking with some of my other friends, and the castle's nice, but the castle might not have all the room. It can't really house everybody, so where are people going to stay? So I actually came up with the perfect idea. Ravensburger, if you're listening, here's where we can hold Nationals, okay? It's a venue that's at Disney World. It's a venue that has room for like over 200 people to stay, so you can take your whole staff and keep them there. It also has plenty of space now for setting up tables and gaming, and it has a like fully functional kitchen and everything, so we can have amazing breaks. Are you ready for the big reveal, Zan?
Yeah, sure.
The currently empty Galactic Star Cruiser Hotel is where they should have Nationals.
Wow.
Yeah, think about it, because they had the big Jenny Nicholson video. They need a little bit of good press. If you get all the people there in the cool Star Wars rooms, everyone's going to have a blast playing a tournament in the Galactic Star Cruiser Hotel, and you know that they're not using that space for anything.
Yeah, I've always wanted to stay in the hotel with the train that goes through it.
Nice. I mean, they can have it there also, but I was just thinking, if they have it in a hotel, they're going to be losing revenue, but if they keep it in the Galactic Star Cruiser that they're not using anyway, all they have to do is, you know, maintenance and stuff on that place. I think that'd be great.
I mean, I'm down for anything at Disney World.
Anything at Disney World. And do you think it's going to be at Disney World?
I hope so.
I hope so too. We have a friend. Everybody has one of these friends up. This like rumor. He's like coming in. He's like, I know the dates and I know the location for Nationals. And we're like, how do you know that? He was like, it was on the Discord. And we're like, we don't think so, buddy. Like, I don't know. So it's an entertaining friend that we have here in Atlanta. Thinks he knows when Nationals is. I hope he's right.
I hope so too.
I'm still really chasing that Nationals invite. It's probably my biggest goal for Dallas. I've been practicing as much as I can. They shut down Pixelborn, but I've been practicing on Tabletop Simulator with some friends. I've also been going to every...
I did want to talk about Green Steel and what the future of Green Steel looks like.
Oh, great.
So basically, after the Bucky ban, you're not going to need as many Floodborn. So we should be thinking about what the deck is going to look like after. And so your investment is not lost. It's still going to be a tier 1 deck. Okay. You're going to be able to play Cursed Merfolk. You're going to be able to play 2-mana Flynn Rider. I think you still play all the Sudden Chills because you lean more into Prince John's, just like last set. And then what's the 4-drop that makes you discard a card if you have more cards? It's a 4-mana 2/4.
Oh, Friar Tuck.
Yeah, Friar Tuck. And yeah, I mean that's like kind of the direction of the deck. You don't need to play Aladdin's anymore. You don't play Bucky's anymore. And then the deck is still has a great engine, you know, still super solid.
One of the things that people like about Green Steel is that it has the biggest creatures and the best removal. So is there a way that we can pivot to something like a whole new world? Is that like in the future for the deck?
No. 0%. Amber Steel will have a huge resurgence, especially like a flute version, because There's no way. Like Amethyst Ruby is still performing out the wazoo.
Yeah.
And I mean, we know that matchup is still favored for Amber Steel. Maybe not as much because of Brawl, but still very highly.
Very highly. I wanted to shout out to some of the stores around here doing locals, guys. If you're new to card games, you gotta support your local stores as long as they're supporting you. So if you're not getting price gouge and they give you a good place to play, it's more important than ever. So shout outs to Gubu Hobby, where we go every week, and Charlie's Collectible Show that hosted a 10K recently. And Zan, how'd you do in the 10K?
I did well. I top 32'd, but I was 5-1 about to play my win in, but I had a family event, so I gave the win to Kendall, and Kendall got to top 8. So it was a win-win situation. And then I played in the 2K the next day, which I top 4 split, and then had to go catch my flight for Golden. So it just green steel winning all around.
Green Steel didn't get to finish most of my rounds. Won anyway. Who cares? Top heck, okay? And then what I heard there is that Kendall can attribute all of his success in Lorcana to you for giving him wins.
Sure.
Is that true?
Nope, not true. He's gotten his success on his own as well.
No.
I will say I think that just about wraps it up. So thank you so much for watching episode 11, and we'll see you next time.
See you next time. You can find me on Twitter at MOXJeremy, and you can find Zan on Twitter at Zan Syed.
Peace.
Bye.